7 Harmful Masturbation Habits. After 60 and the silent impact on the male body. Have you ever touched yourself, but felt absolutely nothing? No pain, no pleasure, no joy, just a repeated motion without a soul. A 72-year-old man once told me, "I still do it the same way I did 50 years ago, but lately, something feels off." He wasn't sick. He wasn't on any new medication. His body simply stopped responding the way it used to. And then he realized what was weakening him wasn't the act itself. It was how he was doing it, and what he hadn't realized he had lost. You see, many men over 60 still masturbate regularly, but they don't understand why they feel more tired, more numb, more disconnected from themselves. It's not because they're doing it wrong. It's because no one ever told them. After 60, your body needs to be loved in a different way. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 seemingly harmless habits that may be quietly damaging your circulation, nerves, and vitality as an older man. More importantly, I'll show you how to touch yourself without losing your sense of self. If you've ever wondered, do I still deserve to feel whole again? The answer is yes, and this video will show you how to begin. Stay with me until the end, because the only thing you may need to change is the way you touch. So before your next session, pause the video glare and return to real skin. One of the most common mistakes men over 60 make is using pornography as their main source of stimulation. At first, watching is just a small habit, a little spice for the mood. But over time, the body begins to depend on it, and something strange happens. Desire remains, but emotion disappears. I've met many older men who sit across from me and say, "I'm still functioning, I still can, but I don't feel anything anymore." It's not illness. It's not medication. It's because the brain has been saturated by images that are too intense, too fast, too far from real life. After 60, the nervous system becomes more sensitive, but also more vulnerable to artificial stimulation. Watching high-speed erotic content daily causes dopamine in the brain to spike excessively, then crash. As a result, the brain begins to protect itself by shutting down response. You stop feeling excited by ordinary things. No real closeness feels enough. And worse, you start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm too old now. Maybe I've lost my attraction. But no, you haven't lost your emotion. You've just forgotten how to connect with it. Real intimacy doesn't come from hormones. It comes from presence, from slow breathing, from real skin touching real skin, not through a screen. When you stop relying on images, your brain begins to heal. True sensations will return, slowly but clearly, and you'll realize there's nothing more sensual than a touch filled with gratitude and care for your own body. Free yourself from screen numbness, then mind posture, toilet hunch blocks, blood flow. For many older men, the bathroom becomes one of the rare places they can truly be alone. No knocks, no interruptions. Everything happens in silence, in a familiar rhythm, and because of that, many choose the toilet as their place of relief. Sitting on the toilet, seemingly harmless, even convenient, actually causes hidden damage that few realize. When you sit hunched over, bent at the waist, that posture significantly restricts blood flow to the pelvic area. It puts pressure on the prostate. The nerves at the base of the pelvis, already more fragile with age, are compressed for long periods. At first, you may notice nothing unusual, but over the years, small signs begin to show. Difficulty urinating, dribbling after using the bathroom, a dull ache in the groin, or discomfort after ejaculation. I've seen hundreds of cases like this. A man walks into my clinic, thinking something serious is wrong. But after asking the right questions, I discover the root cause traces back to one seemingly harmless habit: masturbating while seated in a compressed position. Your body after 60 isn't as forgiving as before, but that doesn't mean you have to endure silent damage. A small shift, standing, lying on your side, or simply choosing a posture that lets your pelvis breathe, can make a world of difference for your nerves, prostate, and circulation. No one teaches us about these private matters, but precisely because they're private, they deserve proper care. Let your body be free, not pressed into a cramped corner, so that this moment isn't just about release, but becomes a true act of self-care. Stand free, breathe slow, give time to feel, not just finish. Many men over 60 have told me they just want to get it over with, partly because of time, partly because of fear of being caught, and partly because they've simply done it that way for decades. But here's the sad truth. When you treat self-pleasure as something to finish quickly, your body starts to react with anxiety. At this age, your nervous system doesn't adapt well to being rushed. Your heart rate spikes suddenly, blood vessels constrict, muscles tense up, and the whole act becomes more draining than relaxing. You may reach climax, but you don't feel relief. Instead of feeling refreshed, you feel exhausted. Instead of feeling recharged, you feel empty. I call this emotionless orgasm. It happens when the brain doesn't have enough time to release the full spectrum of feel-good hormones like oxytocin and dopamine. And when that keeps happening, your body starts to associate pleasure with fatigue, with rush, with incompleteness. Gradually, you lose the ability to stay aroused. You begin to lose touch with yourself. And if you have a partner, you may find it harder to feel present with them too. It's not that you're getting weaker, it's that you're skipping the most valuable part of the experience: presence. Try this next time. Instead of rushing, take time to breathe slowly. Feel each movement. Don't push your body to finish. Let it find its own rhythm. When you pause to truly feel, you'll be surprised to find that your emotions are still there. Real, vivid, alive. They've just been buried under layers of hurry for far too long. Slow touch frees blood flow and wakes the pelvic floor that steadies you. There's a group of muscles that most men over 60 never think about. Yet it forms the foundation of everything related to desire, erections, bladder control, and even post-orgasmic emotion. It's called the pelvic floor, a hidden network of muscles stretching from the pubic bone to the tailbone, supporting the bladder, prostate, and genitals. Nobody talks about it, but if you let it weaken, you'll feel the consequences year by year. I once examined a man in his 60s, still fit, walking every morning, eating well, but he complained that his intimate life had lost its quality for no clear reason. After a few simple checks, I found his pelvic floor was barely functioning, not due to disease, but because of years of sitting, tension building up in the lower abdomen, and never once paying attention to this critical area. When the pelvic floor weakens, you'll notice bladder control declines, leakage or dribbling occurs. The pleasure from climax feels dull. Erections fade without explanation. Worse still, if you masturbate in the wrong position or strain too hard, you may be unknowingly accelerating the deterioration of these muscles. But here's the good news. Recovery is possible. Just by imagining you're trying to stop the flow of urine and gently tightening that group of muscles for a few seconds each day. This isn't hard training. It's your way of telling your body, I'm still here with you. I haven't given up. And within weeks, something remarkable begins. Not only do your physical functions improve, but a deep sense of confidence, steadiness, and vitality returns from within. When the pelvic floor awakens and strength returns, the next lesson is rhythm. Touch just enough to nourish, never to drain. Many men entering their 60s feel uncertain about what moderation truly means. They don't know what's considered enough. Some masturbate daily, clinging to an old mechanical habit with no emotion. Others stop altogether because of shame, health concerns, or the belief that they're too old. But both extremes lead to the same result: disconnection. Masturbating too frequently, especially without presence or emotion, drains the body. The prostate becomes overstimulated, sensory nerves grow desensitized, and true desire fades into routine. At that point, the act is no longer a release or a reconnection. It becomes a cycle that quietly depletes your energy. On the other end, some haven't touched their bodies in years. Maybe for religious reasons, fear of illness, or simply growing used to solitude. But the body, especially the circulatory and nervous systems of the pelvic area, needs gentle activation. When that region lies dormant too long, blood flow slows, nerves atrophy, and sensation dulls. Even if the body remains intact, the feeling may never return. So how often is enough? There's no universal number. But for most men after 60, once or twice a week, with presence, gentleness, and respect, is an ideal rhythm. It's not an obligation. It's a quiet whisper to your body. I'm still listening. I still want you to feel alive and well. When you stop rushing, stop neglecting, and instead choose a steady, caring pace, your body responds with vitality, circulation, and a gentle joy that fills every private moment. Rhythm set, next is touch. Softer grip, slower moves revive feeling. As sensitivity fades with age, many men instinctively tighten their grip, move faster, or try harder to feel something. But what few realize is that this very approach causes hidden damage, not just physically, but emotionally. And by the time they notice, their bodies are already speaking in ways they can't ignore. I've seen dozens of patients complain that they don't feel as much anymore. They assume it's just aging. But when I ask how they masturbate, most describe rushed, forceful, even harsh methods, sometimes using rough or hard surfaces in an attempt to reignite lost sensations. In truth, what they're doing is slowly destroying their peripheral nerve endings, tiny, delicate fibers that are incredibly easy to injure. Using too much pressure not only makes the skin sensitive and prone to tearing, it damages the soft tissue underneath. Over time, this skin loses its elasticity. Micro tears turn into scar tissue beneath the surface, reducing blood flow, dulling response to stimulation, and in many cases, causing pain during arousal or even light contact. Worse still, your emotions begin to detach from the experience. You're no longer enjoying it. You're simply trying to get back what you lost by being violent with your own body. And every time you do, your brain learns the wrong lesson. that to feel, you must force it. Eventually, you lose sensation altogether. The solution? Slow down. Be gentle. Let your body feel loved, not coerced. When you choose tenderness over intensity, your body begins to reopen the doors to emotion. And behind that door is not performance, but deep, enduring, sincere connection with yourself. Slow, gentle touch restores. Rushed force erodes both nerves and joy. Perhaps the quietest mistake, but the one that leaves the deepest wound, is when self-pleasure no longer carries emotion, connection, or meaning. It stops being an act of self-love and becomes an unconscious reflex. A moment repeated in silence, just to fill the void, or simply to get it over with. I once listened to a 70-year-old man confide in me. He said, "I still do it, but I don't feel anything. It's like my body is doing something unfamiliar to itself." That sentence stunned me, because it wasn't just about physical loss. It was a loss of meaning, of the connection between a man and his own being. When you do this without presence, without affection, without reverence, you're teaching your brain that pleasure is hollow. And slowly, feelings fade, sensations dull, and even your ability to connect with others slips away into that invisible smoke. Worse, that emptiness can bleed into everyday life. You may no longer feel a flutter when someone holds your hand, no warmth when you catch your partner's gaze, and you won't understand why you feel lonely, even though you can still do everything. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I still want to feel, not just on the skin, but in the heart? Because the truth is, you still can. When you bring presence back into each moment, when you touch yourself as if holding something precious, a part of you that's still alive, simply waiting to be awakened. In that moment, self-pleasure is no longer a repeated action, but a doorway. A way to return to yourself gently, with gratitude and love. Slow, gentle touch renews nerves, rushed force drains joy. After everything we've shared, perhaps you now see. The real issue isn't whether masturbation is right or wrong, nor is it about how many times a week is healthy. It's about this. Are you still truly connected to your body? Or are you just repeating an old habit that's lost its meaning? Those 7 mistakes, from relying on porn, to poor posture, to rushing, to neglecting your pelvic floor, to doing it too often or not at all, to using too much force, to feeling nothing. They all lead to one place, a broken connection with yourself. You no longer touch your body like it's a living part of you, a companion that's carried you through the years. Instead, you treat it like a tool, sometimes overused, sometimes ignored, sometimes like a stranger. And over time, your body grows quiet, not because it can't feel anymore, but because it's no longer being listened to. Science may explain this with hormones, nerves, blood flow, the sensitivity of your prostate, but emotion, that thing that makes you feel alive, can't be measured by any machine. Only you can know if you're truly feeling or just doing. Here's the good news. No matter your age, that connection can be restored. No medication. No one else required. Just a moment to pause, to breathe slowly, and to touch yourself with the tenderness you deserve. A touch with presence, with emotion, with gratitude, for this body that's still here, still waiting for you to come home. Because here's the truth. Your body never betrayed you. It only responds to how you treat it. And if you begin today, it will respond with sensation, with vitality, with a quiet and powerful return. Reconnection begins now. Listen, touch, breathe. Let each next choice rise from feeling, not habit. If this video touched something in you, it's probably not because of the mistakes behind you, but because a part of you still wants to live fully, whether you're 60, 70, or even 80. And that is something deeply worth honoring. We can't go back in time, but we can begin again, with one small choice starting today: to live closer to ourselves, slower, gentler, more truthfully. If this message feels meaningful to you, I invite you to hit subscribe so I can walk with you each week, not as a doctor, but as a fellow traveler on this same path. And if you know someone else quietly struggling, please share this video with them. Let them know they are not alone, because no matter how our bodies may change, you, the real you, the life within, is still right here, waiting to be heard.